Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Walker. I'm the Senior Director of Operations at Praxent, and joining me today is Molly Graham, a software engineer at Praxent. Welcome, Molly.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here.
So, Molly, tell me a little bit about how some of the ways that Praxent stands apart from other opportunities for software engineers out there.
Yeah, so a couple of things come to mind. The first would be there's a unique opportunity for engineers to learn about new technologies and learn from other developers because our projects typically last, I would say on average, anywhere from 3 months to a year. So there are exceptions, of course, but typically like I work in one stack with one or two other developers for about 6 months and then get to work in a different stack and possibly learn a new technology and get to work with new engineers and learn from them. And then on top of that, I get to learn more about the business of our clients. So just as an example, I've worked in React, building out web apps for clients like a medical insurance firm, and then also a custom home builder. And right now I'm working in React Native, building out a mobile app for one of our clients in the wealth management space. So I think it's just unique to be able to gain experience across different technologies and just to understand different business rules for companies in various facets of fintech. And then secondly, I would say Praxent is the most transparent company I've worked for. And I think transparency is really important in a company because it creates just an open and honest environment. So for example, during the height of the pandemic, leadership was consistently sharing with the entire team about, the financial details and how we were doing as a company and how we were struggling and how we were enduring. And I think as an employee, I never had to wonder, what the state of our company was, or if I was going to unexpectedly lose my job. I felt well-informed and prepared. And I think that aspect of our culture is really unique.
So Molly, tell us about one area of development or an area of growth in which you've made progress since you've joined the team at Praxent.
Yeah. I have learned so much at Praxent already, but if I had to pick one, I would say I have learned, I've grown in being a more confident leader. So my managers have consistently supported me by pointing out my natural skills and helping me see how valuable those things are, particularly on a Scrum team. So I'm just a very organized person and I care a lot about process and communication. And these are things that I just kind of take for granted, honestly. I think it's hard to not fall into the mindset that being an engineer is all about technical skill. And while technical skill is obviously really important, it's not everything. And the leaders at Praxent have really encouraged me by reminding me of just like the importance of the skills that I have on my team. And they've put me in positions where I can really own the process and just be in that type of leadership role in my projects.
So Molly, tell us a little bit about the team that you work with and the role that the team has played in you helping you reach your goals and reach your potential.
Yeah. So the culture and the people at Praxent, they're awesome. And even though we are growing as a company and adding new members to the team every week, I think we still feel like a close-knit company. And one thing I really love about Praxent is I get to learn from the people that I work with. So as an engineer, I work really closely with other engineers, obviously, but I also get to work with designers and delivery leads. And I hear updates about marketing and sales every week at company meetings. So not only am I growing in my craft or just growing technically, but I'm also constantly learning about things related to UX design or client management or even the financial services like behind our business. So I would just say it's a really collaborative environment. And I feel really lucky to work with people who share my same interest in growing and learning. And so I feel like everyone at Praxent is striving to grow in some way. And being in this environment is just encouraging and inspiring and challenging to me in the best way.
So Molly, how would you describe the day-to-day of the role of a software engineer at Praxent?
Yeah. So since we practice Scrum rituals, my day typically starts with a daily stand-up where I just sync with my team and talk about what I worked on the day before and what I'm accomplishing that day. And in my role, I usually have most of the day to be heads down, just focused on work, which I love. But I would say I take part in at least 2 or 3 planning meetings a week, generally. And then every Friday we have a company-wide meeting, and then we have a meeting with the engineering team. And so those are our weekly meetings. And on top of that, I also have a one-on-one with my manager every 2 weeks. And that's really just a chance for us to check in and talk about how I'm doing and how I can grow as an engineer.
Molly, for someone that's interested in joining Praxent and is interested in applying, what should they expect as a part of the application and interview process?
Yeah, so I actually get really nervous during interviews. And it's funny because now I'm conducting engineering interviews here at Praxent and I still get nervous, even though I'm on the other end. So yeah, I felt very worried going into my technical interview there. I had 3 interviews with Praxent, and my second interview was a technical interview. So I was really nervous going into it, but as soon as we got started, I felt at ease. And I think that's because the interview process at Praxent is really all about getting to know the interviewee and just seeing how they think. It's not about intimidation or, putting pressure on the interviewee to just give the perfect answer. And I remember during my interview, one of the guys interviewing me said, if you don't know the answer, you can just say, I don't know, and that's totally fine. We'll move on. And I didn't believe him because basically every article, every mentor, they always said, if you don't know the answer, just make something up, like just say something. And so after a few times of me pulling out answers out of thin air, he finally interrupted me again and was just like, if you don't know the answer, it's really okay. You can just say you don't know. And it was in that moment that I was like, oh, this is not a trick. Like I can really be myself, and that's okay. And I think that aspect of the interview process is just really indicative of the culture here at Praxent. Saying I don't know doesn't mean you're stupid. It means, you're willing to be humble and willing to learn more. And so, that type of humility is celebrated here at Praxent, and I felt that in our interview process.
One more question for you, Molly. Tell us what has working at Praxent meant for you on a personal level?
Yeah, so this is actually my first job as a software engineer. I attended a boot camp a couple of years ago and then started working on the engineering team here a few months after that. So for me, this has been the place where I've really just learned how to be a developer. Words really can't even describe how much I have learned at Praxent over the past few years. And, I didn't really know coming out of boot camp if I would, enjoy coding professionally. There were just so many unknowns, I think, for me entering into my first job in tech. But I have fallen in love with engineering here. And it means the world to me that the people here have taken the time and energy to just pour into me and help me succeed, and just honestly help me love my job.
That's fantastic. Molly, as always, it has been a pleasure speaking with you today and hearing some of your stories. Thank you for sharing them.
Yeah, thank you.